I guess to
If
start, why
uh,
is Chalet attacker sided? Because that's how I started the last one. So Chalet's commonly seen as attacker side. A 4-2 split is kind of what you're expecting out of
yeah,
the attack. Why is that?
I mean, I think it's similar to other maps which are considered attacker sided, like border or coastline back in the day, or like consulate back in the day. I feel like there's just so many different directions of pressure that the attack can get that the defense has to play aggressive in order to like react to it. You can't really play super passive on the map. I feel that's part of the reason is you have to take a lot of the map. You have to keep a lot of the map space as the defenders. One of the things that we talked about for our defenses specifically, and it kind of comes into the equation anytime we play a map where we feel like it's slightly attacker sided, is it's attacker sided insofar as they have 5 people up. But once you get down to like closer low man count, 3v3s, 4v3s, 3v2s, it gets starts to get a little bit more even. So like some of the focus on a lot of the maps where we felt that we were failing on our defenses was like, okay, what we need to do is just whittle the man count down, because we always found that we played 3v3s really well. We found that we played 3v2s really well, etc. So our goal usually, and I think that on Chalet specifically, it should be your goal on defense, is play aggressive in the early round and try and get the man count down to like a 3v3. And then it becomes much more defender sided, because for the attack, with the amount of avenues that you have to take map control, it's very much based on like synchronization. So if you don't have 5 people all pressuring 5 different pressure points, the defense has a lot more space to kind of breathe. You know? Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, because it's similar to like I think a lot of these maps are like consulate top floor used to be back in the day, where it was just like you had no space to move, and that's why it's so difficult for the defense. But like when you whittle the man count down, you have more space to move, and they have less spaces that they can put pressure on you from.
Yeah,
So
because they can't cover every avenue like they could.
exactly, and that's super important for this site specifically. Um, Basement is it's tough to say whether I like it or don't like it. It's very difficult to play as a defense, I feel, just because of that that point is like if they get the garage open and then they go for a backside take, which I'm pretty confident that's what Oxygen does here. Like they get the
I
garage
believe
open
so.
early and they go for a backside take. There's
Yeah.
just nowhere to go. There's just nowhere to play.
And so that's
Um,
why there's usually like Chalet is one of those maps that you always think there's a very committed roam. Like you
yeah, yeah,
always see
yeah.
at least 1 or 2 people on that top floor. Like you see Ashen and
Yep.
Ambi going up now.
Yeah. Because it's one, you want to whittle the man count down, so we want to play aggressive early, but also it's just time. If you give them the whole round, it's so easy for them. They just have to play super patient, and eventually you're going to get impatient and peak because you're feeling pressure.
Yeah.
So like our goal on these defenses, on a lot of our chalets, but on basement specifically, was try to always keep someone upstairs. We have to like continue to put pressure on them, continue to make them think that they're getting flanked. So our goal here was really to play for a retake. So you're going to see Ambi usually stays up here pretty much all round, and then when we do fall, we sort of coordinate some sort of a retake late in the round when they're feeling. Ideally, when they're going for their execute is when we want to start retaking.
Okay.
And then
And
the guys on site just have to play passive.
yeah, and so right now their OXG is starting their top floor take to clear out these roamers and take some more map control now that they have garage wall open. That's just Ashen, all right,
Yeah,
Ashen things. But you go 1 for 1, and this is kind of playing into your game plan. You're
it's
you're
perfect,
duking it
perfect for
out,
us. Yep.
Brent,
Perfect for
brawling it
us.
out, and that's what you want to do, especially because that's the buck. That's the vertical pressure.
Hmm.
And then I think Uzi just straight
I
up.
don't know where he was, to be honest.
I don't think he was garage, but I think wherever like Dream and I assume that was Vert. Wherever they were, like Breach or Wineside, either way, like Uzi just single-handedly shut down that part of a push.
Yep. Okay.
I want to talk about the single panel wine wall right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you guys did something interesting with the deployable shield. You had the head holes open there, and then you had a deployable shield behind it.
Hmm.
Whereas commonly you'll see that single panel reinforced? What's the thought process there? Just like, this is Arial Arise Academy team of gunners. You're willing to take those fights, or what's the?
I'd say that's a big part of it for sure. We just want to, again, to sort of counteract the idea of them having a lot of avenues onto site. Like we have to be able to at least apply pressure back, right?
Okay.
And we want to. It's very difficult to play this defense like in small garage or in snowmobile. So you're playing it from blue, you're playing it from wine. So we want to have some form of putting pressure on this. Let me get Epic Pen on this area, other than just because like swinging here, you don't have much cover, you don't have anything to really support you. Swinging outside of the closet is like not good either. Peeking blue is difficult because they're probably going to have blue stairs control by the time that they have this control. And then playing on main stairs is a good spot. Like that's pretty strong. But other than that, it's very difficult to put pressure on this without having this wall open.
Okay.
And we kind of feel like we needed to do that. Also, I would say that like if we don't get the man count down, this is a disadvantage for us for sure.
Okay.
Right?
So
Because
it's kind of
if
like
if they have 4 people, 5 people up, they're 1,000% going to have someone where Newers is right now. Whereas like if we're in a 2v2 or a 3v3, they may not have someone out here. And the pressure, we can kind of understand where the pressure is. So if they want to split, which they probably have to do to make it successful, they'd have someone here and then they'd have someone over like in trench. In that case, we can choose to isolate one of them. And it's much easier to do that with more things open for us.
Okay, so it's a calculated risk where it's like we know this will put us at a disadvantage if things go wrong, but if our early round game plan works out, this is an advantage.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can afford to take those risks on sites that aren't your favorite. Like we like basement, but it's probably like our 3rd favorite on the map, or at least for me, I think it's probably 3rd best, even 4th best. Okay. So it's like in that case, we're not expecting to win these rounds. So like I think the goal is, okay, you should win your 2 best sites. And if you win your 3rd, great, Yeah. So this is a way that I don't think we really think about it that deeply like this, but you do want to kind of try something interesting on your 3rd site.
And I want to talk about it because there's a Flores ban from you guys, but there's no Wamai or no Wamai smoke hold for the top blue. You just have a Jaeger and a shield. And I want to just get some input on why Jaeger and a deployable instead of like, I feel Wamai is probably the more commonly used operator for that position. That might be a bit dated.
I mean, I'd say one thing is we give Ashton, or we gave Ashton, a lot of freedom in terms of he could kind of choose whatever he wanted to. And I think our idea is we didn't want to be too passive.
Okay.
In terms of like having the smoke set up, having a Wamai and a Jaeger, like you're kind of really banking on. Let me move this out of the way. Sorry. You're really banking on sitting back and accepting the pressure, where we felt like we had to kind of provide the pressure. And Wamai kind of pigeonholes you into playing a bit more passive. That's the smart answer. the actual answer is probably Ashton just wanted to play Oryx. Like,
I mean, it could be both. It could be both.
Yeah, and you have the Azami too. So the Azami is a way to kind of get in. You don't get what Wamai gives you, but you expend the same thing, or you make them expend the same thing that they would for a Wamai. So, and it's a bit more present, it's a bit more active, a bit more dynamic.
I did want to ask about the Azami there at that top mezzanine, because why is she used there? If you just want to pause here real quick, because this is actually probably a really good view to talk about it. Like, why is Azami so good in this position?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, commonly it's just the way that they take the site, right? They want to take it from here. Or not the site, but top floor. They want to take here, and then they want to box you in, right?
Okay.
And basically what Azami does, she's pretty alone here, right? We have someone playing in the corner, but they had to get out pretty early, right? So now she's completely alone. Yeah. The only thing she has pressure or help from is Ambi peeking main door, so they can't walk up the stairs. But if they're putting pressure everywhere, Azami allows you to create space that wouldn't otherwise be available to you.
Okay, so
Right.
you have a bit more breathing room to isolate 1v1s, despite just
Exactly.
how
Yeah.
many angles there are that can challenge her position. And you
Exactly.
can kind of see
So
those with those Kiba barriers in
yeah.
library and the banister.
Yep. Right here, this gives Spiker a much better ability to peek this guy if he wants to.
Okay.
Right. It's not just about playing defensive. It's also about like creating different opportunities. Right.
Yeah.
Because you can play a bit more aggressively here on this guy if this is here. Same thing there. Anytime you see like a ton of these small little surfaces, it just screams Azami, right? That's why, you know, like cafe top floor, cafe in piano, like Azami is so strong because there's so many little surfaces that she could throw shit on.
Okay.
And again, another place where they're trying to really isolate one spot, right? Because if they get this control, that's the whole round for them, pretty much.
Yeah.
Whereas like this is where we live and die up here, basically. Like this is where if we're gonna win, we're gonna win in this area for the most part, or we have to do enough damage here that on the retake we can make something happen.
Okay.
As the nades come in, and I believe they deal with the shield rather quickly. Hibana pellets sticking to
and it just slows them down so much, right? Because like,
Yeah.
cool, that was just basically 5 seconds wasted there for them with the Hibana. Now they just have to do it again.
They recharge, so he can have plenty of
And then
time.
also, what are your thoughts on the Zero as well? Because Oxy is running a Zero on this map. You know, do you think Zero's a good value for this map, or?
I like it a lot on this map. On this map specifically, I do like it, yeah. Because you need to play super flanking and kind of dynamic on defense, and if you have someone that's good at using Zero, first of all, right? That's the big thing. You have to have someone who's comfortable on it and has a good understanding of when to be on cams and when not to be. But in terms of, you know, there's a lot of places that you could throw up a Zero cam and get a lot of information.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more active of a flank watch than a Nomad or something.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, a Zero cam doesn't get used when you see someone on the Zero cam, whereas if an air jab pops, you know, all of a sudden they could try flanking again from that route if they're really psycho.
Yeah. It does require you to be actively on it, though, which is obviously... But that's one thing where, like, can I go on a tangent about Nomad here?
Go off.
Okay. So, like, I really despise Nomad for a couple reasons. One, I think it's lazy. But two, and this is the biggest thing for me, is the easiest kill that you're gonna have on a defender is if you know they're in a position and they don't know that you're in that. They don't know that you know that they're in that position. So if they're flanking and we see them on cam, but they don't know that they're seen on cam, that should be the freest kill of all time, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, like if we're good at our flank watch and we're actively on our cams and watching for those things, we should invite the flank like we want it to happen, because then it's a free kill.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas like if you have Nomad, like they're going to hear the air jab and they're going to be like, okay, not going to flank.
Not going to flank, or I'm going to flank but expect to take a fight because they
expect
know
to take exactly. Whereas if they don't know that we know, then it should be the freest kill of all time.
Okay.
But yeah, that's one thing that's always bothered me with Nomad. Sometimes she's super strong when like you don't want to really look actively for kills, right? Like Cafe top floor again, I think Nomad's pretty good.
Okay.
If you only want to go for like a piano ISO, which I don't think is the play, but like if you want to do that, she's strong.
Okay, yeah. And then here we go. 9 seconds of a round. I think Ambi gets the down and just clutches up. Yeah.
Yeah, just time. And
that's also really well played by Ambi to not commit to taking a fight with that games window.
And just knowing where his cover is, too.
Yeah.
Just this right here.
Yeah. Like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah.
All right.